Welcome to January 2018. I almost said January 2017. Not just as a little mistake, because as you get older, the years go by so fast. I'm going to call this gear review, which is kind of a vague term. I don't mean to be misleading. But I've just noticed over the years, as quality's just gotten so much better and better, even with lower line drum equipment, bass drum pedals, drum kits, and the prices really have sort of stayed the same in nominal dollars. Meaning that, like, back in 1983, when I was coming up, if I were to buy a brand new, like, rocker, I guess they called them the rocker at 83 Ludwig, it'd be like $400 or $500 without stands and cymbals. In 1982 or $83. And the drums were nowhere near the quality beginning and even lower middle drums are today. That's not a slamness against Ludwig or any manufacturer way back in the day. It's just come up. It's gotten really competitive. So, and plus too, it's a relatively recent phenomenon that there's so many there's so many strata of product. They have like their top of the line stuff, then they're kind of top of the line, then there's kind of sort of, then sort of the intermediate, and then sort of the, you know what I mean? That didn't used to be the case. It used to be that they had an intro thing and their regular stuff. What I have here, well, I'm going to say real fast, not to be misleading on the gear review. I was looking at a Musician's Friend catalog that I got when I got my Remo Black Dots, and it's sort of like a catalog light. That sort of had just a little bit of stuff of, like horns and recording stuff and microphones, some drum stuff and some guitar stuff. But they had like 3 drum pedals in there. One I think was a Pearl. One might have been a PDP, a Pacific, and one was something else. And they're solid looking pedals with floor plates, man. They're like $65 you can buy them for, 70 tops, in nominal 2018 dollars, man. I'm going to do the math right now. I'm going to do the conversion. In 1983, $500. $500. And while I do this, anyway, so I'm looking at these pedals and I think to myself, like, I'd buy, I'm so obsessive compulsive, I'd buy 5 of them right now just to have them, like in case something happened. A pedal with the floor plate, as we know, it's a good pedal, man. I like those. You know what I mean? Although I don't really have any anymore. Although sometimes you'll find the Camco pedals, the ones that I really like, that a lot of us really like from the early 80s. Remember, Tom, I bought the Camco name from Camco and a couple little things, I think. But some of those came, I think, with I see some with foot plates. I assume they're factory, the later ones. Usually they're double bass ones. That's a great pedal, man. Anyway, so, inflation calculator. I'm going to do this real fast. So back in 1983, if you're spending $500 on a beginning set, which wasn't built that well at all, let's see what 1983, okay. So, $500 in January, let's call it January 1984. We'll just call it 1985. Even though it was 80, just to be, safe or whatever. That's $1,169 today. Imagine spending $1,100 today, which is what it would be like in our dollars, on a brand new rocker set in those days without stands or cymbals. That's how prices have come down. Quality has come up, and prices have gone down in actuality, okay? So the younger kids today or beginning drummers today are very lucky. Stuff is a lot cheaper in real terms and much higher quality. What I would like to do, I'd love to, what would be great? I'd love to go to like NAMM, N-A-M-M, and just have like a little camera crew with me and just walk around and like check stuff out. Because I'll tell you honestly what I think of it. Because you get a lot of hype, you know what I mean? You do. Everything usually that gets submitted to a magazine is always like, oh, it's great, it's great. Which, of course, if stuff is getting a lot better in general, it's going to be pretty good anyway. But anyway, that'd be fun. I'd love to go to NAMM. But what I have here to kind of demonstrate, these are catalogs that I have, and I used to have all my old Thoroughbred catalogs, and they used to call Cascio, like now it's Interstate Music. It used to be Cascio Interstate, I don't know if it was music though, Cascio Interstate, but Thoroughbred used to be around, and a couple other catalogs I used to have that I got rid of, unfortunately. But it'll show you. So this is, I think, the oldest one I have, which is Spring 2004, which is now suddenly 14 years ago, okay? So, and look at these prices, man. God, I remember this, too, and I don't know why I didn't frickin' Ludwig Classics, okay? back in those days, they didn't call them classic maples. They just called them classics. You could have bought, hang on, in 2004, and I remember I should have bought one then. I remember thinking like, wow, because relative to other manufacturers, Ludwig is more affordable. Even now, classic maples, I think, are the best sounding maple drums on the market, I think. And they're priced extremely competitively compared to other manufacturers. But anyway, back in 2004, spring, which is more or less now, if it's spring, this was probably printed in January. All right, a 26-inch Ludwig bass drum wrapped in any of these finishes, black diamond, black sparkle, was $585, man. That's what you'd pay for it. I mean, it listed for, probably $1,000 or whatever. But think about that, $585. Wow. Now, I know that kind of violates a little bit of the rule that I'm talking about for some reason. Remember I said, anyway. But, I mean, think about that, man. An 18-inch floor tom was $329. Huh. And let me see. And you know what they have in here? I remember the Blackrolites. A 6.5 by 14 Blackrolite was $225. I'm telling you, Ludwig should bring the Blackrolites back. At the a lot of people still think they're made. The Blackrolites, they're not. They stopped making those babies around the time I think they brought in the reissue Acrolites. And God knows there's trillions of 5 by 14 Blackrolites around. They're great drums, man. You should get your hands on one. The 6.5s are scarce, but I was always thinking Ludwig should bring the 6.5s back anyway because they just look so cool. You could put Imperial lugs on if you want them, put a tone control on it, and put a brand new Ludwig badge. If you want to I wouldn't put the silver one, the silver keystone that they have on some stuff. I'd put the old-fashioned gold one or that real thick brass one they have. They'd sell those, man. I do. I think they would. But anyway, a Blackrolite, 6.5 by 14 in 2004, which to me seems like yesterday, $225. A 6.5 by 14 Supraphonic was $305. I remember that, yes. And now here's something, even though that seems cheap, now, back in the days when, you needed old-fashioned Ludwig parts, you still could buy new. There was this spec. Back in those days, for a period of time, they called the stuff rocker. Just that used to be the classic stuff, which now they might call classic again. But there was a period of time where you were looking for the curved spurs and brackets and stuff. It was called rocker for a while, so you had to pay attention to that. And this is right around the time the Elite single tom holder and stuff came out, the Elite mount. And this is the new limited reissue Amber Visalite 5-piece reissue set. So one of these babies back in 2004 was $2,700. Anyway, I love these old catalogs. It's cool to look at, but also too. Yes, sir. So gear review. But anyway, so when I was at Guitar Center the other day, I still really love Yamaha's basic FP700 series pedal. But again, there's other manufacturers now that are coming out pedals around that cheap. Now those are $60 or $70 now. They used to be $55 for a long time, out the door or whatever. But now they're $75. But there's a lot of, again, $65, $75, $85 pedals that are built crazy well with foot plates, man. Again, I think the Zildjian S series cymbals are incredibly good. You got to check those out. I'm just going to say that. PST7 Pisces are terrific, as are the PST5s, man. I mean, if you're on a budget, PST5s are great because what they did was, a few years ago, they thinned the mediums slightly lighter because they used to have a medium crash model, I think a rock crash model or a crash ride, and then they had a thin crash model. And the medium is a lot closer to the old thin crash model. And then, of course, everything else. They have the Signature and the Masters, and 2002 and Giant Beats are great. Again, I would recommend that Peisty offer a 15-inch pair of Sound Edge hats, and I recommend that they also make some Giant Beats that are slightly heavier than the current multis they have. I mean, heavier. Don't stay away from the word heavy, though. And I would also say, too, Zildjian, man. I don't know why you put S on those cymbals, though. See, scimitar. People think scimitar. They do. Plus, that S kind of just looks like one of the scimitar-y versions of the S. That was a mistake. But nonetheless, I'm plugging those S series, man. Again, those S series, you guys got to make a pair of 15-inch hats. And your 22 and your 24 medium rides in the S series are too heavy. I think a 24 is like 3,900 grams. You need like a 3,100 gram or 3,200 gram 24, I think. But anyway, so these catalogs are cool, man. I love these old catalogs. I got to make sure I don't throw these away. I got to keep them. Because the older people, you know, as you get older, time goes faster. Every day is a smaller and smaller percentage of your life. So, like, sometimes it seems like a show that's on once a week is on like 3 times a week because time goes so fast. Our garbage gets picked up once a week, but sometimes it seems like it's 3 times a week. I always seem like I'm walking out there with the garbage. What else is in this catalog? Yeah, so Ludwig. Around this time, so the bronze. So a 6.5 by 14 superphonic bronze you could buy for $363, man. Yeah, and then this is around the time 03, 04 is when they came out with the 300 series drums. You guys might remember those. They were steel. Well, they had a 5.5 by 14 and a 6.5 by 14 steel shell. Those are nice, pretty substantial drums. And they also had a brass version and a bronze version, okay? And those were pretty inexpensive, man. I remember buying, like, my bronze and brass, like 6.5s for like $180, new. And the only 300 series I have left here, I have a 5.5 by 14 and a 6.5 by 14 floating around. But, and I did want to say, too, that I know typically that Bonham, obviously the drums are tuned higher, no matter what kid he played. You didn't think so? But I did fix up the tuning here a little bit. Part of the thing about this rack tom is I have a 2-ply head on the Rezo, which is really killing the volume. Well, I mean, just here. The 18 isn't that far off, because remember, it's the 18 way down at the bottom. But the rack tom should be higher, but I'm not really going to tune it higher until I get that more resonant head on the bottom. Because that 2-ply head, if I crank it up any higher, it really chokes the drum. So here they are. I have my 505 14-inch mediums on here. All right, hang on. I'm going to George Flutus's today. It's my first time for a long time at his place. I was there 20 years ago when I bought that sonar stand that I'm actually using now. But we're going to go today and rap. He's going to show me his Ludwig Thermogloss 26-inch kit original. We're going to shoot the shite. We might go to Drugan's Drums. Drugan's Drum Shop near north side of Chicago in the suburbs. Great place. Tons of vintage stuff. That's their gig. Drugan's. God love those guys. We might head there. But I want to make a video. It'll be like the Dick Cavett show, where it's he and I sitting around like in 2 like late 60s chairs. We have sort of plaid suit, like late 60s, early 70s suits. We have our 70s haircuts. And we sit there and just talk back and forth to each other about Ludwig drums, John Bonham, Led Zeppelin. Because I think we could go on forever. So at some point, people might get something out of it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't really have a lot of people to talk Zeppelin with. That's the thing. There's a lot of us out in outlying areas that are so Zeppelin-y, but we don't really have anybody really with which to share. I'm in a major metropolitan area. I have my buddies Joel, and I have Peisty Bob, and I have George, and a few other people, and plus people I've met doing my videos. So, we're going to do that. So, anyway, here they are. 16, I'm pretty close. There's one local I'm going to get. And somebody had pointed out, do you see how that hits? That angle, like the beater's more like this? That's very common on Ludwig drums. For whatever reason, especially back in the old days, their hoops are really wide. Even with their Speed Kings, put a Speed King on. Anyway, oh no, their Speed King might have accommodated that. Anyway. Versus. So I just wanted to make this video. I'm trying to put out a video a day because, you know why? I just want to see what happens. There's a thing that I was thinking you get, if there's an algorithm with YouTube. So I'm trying to make these videos as high quality as possible because I just want to see if indeed, if you make more videos, they really do maybe boost you in the polls or whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? Or in the stuff. So I might as well, I want to take this opportunity to talk Zeppelin and Bonham anyway. Right now, I have some 5As that I typically don't use. I'm waiting on my Keith Moon Vic Firths, which are thinner than this and shorter. What does he do? I think it's that. I gotta shore that up. I used to be able to do that, I think, when I used to do the solo back in the day. But you forget that stuff, you don't do it for a while. My now friend, Nate Van Slyke, I'm gonna ask him if I can borrow his TuneBot so I can get the TuneBot settings for how I have my Supras tuned up, as well as George's. George Flutus knows how to tune a Supra, man. So we're gonna get those TuneBot settings for everybody. So there's some more information. What else can we do? Here's my coffee. Typically every day I have a Venti Americano from Starbucks, which gives the illusion sometimes of a drug-fueled video. Like my top 10 drum beats video where I had the hat on, I intentionally was talking fast. I think I mentioned that in the video. I was trying to just fit everything in. Plus I had 19 cups of coffee. So, wait, there is something else I wanted to show. Check these out. So, I've mentioned in other videos. Paiste supers, okay? Some supers were nickel silver. Remember, nickel silver was like Paiste's main alloy, what they like specialized until the 50s when they went to B20. Then the mid 60s they brought in B8. But this is a B8 cymbal that looks 99% like an original Giant beat. Like, I mean, this is like a stunt cymbal you could use, which I have done in a video where I threw it around. It's pretty durable. But listen to it, though. I think maybe what they did is they might have had a bunch of, maybe when they were training folks to do the Giant beats, they made them kind of thin, and they were sort of getting everybody used to the physical mechanics of making the cymbals. And then they're like, well, let's sell them. We'll stamp super on these babies. But listen to that. But in this day and age with like Dry and Dead in this, people might, and I can't play jazz obviously to save my life, but people might really love that sound. Talking about dry and trashy. Paiste, make these again. Call them the Giant Beat Trashy. They'll sell like hotcakes because all the younger folks love dry and trashy. But look at that. I'm blinding you.